Okay, so if you're a junior dev like me and you've gone from writing to-do list apps and dashboards, portfolio websites, things like that, maybe you did a boot camp, maybe you went to uni, and now you've actually landed a job and you're just thrown into a huge commercial code base, thousands of files, lots of repositories, and then you open Jira and you just get the most vague ticket imaginable. The first thing I do when I get one of these tickets is I get my pen and paper and I draw out what I think they want or what I think the problem is. If that means writing diagrams or pseudocode, whatever works for you, I write it down and then I ask again any clarifying questions, and I do this as soon as possible. If that means I talk to QA to figure out how I replicate the problem, or I talk to design to see what they actually want, because I've had situations where the ticket image has a different design to what the design person gave me in their Figma or something. So you need to communicate a lot, and it might be with various people. So when you're getting set up, don't be afraid to ask about config files and things that if you don't know, you're not going to figure it out. You just need to know what someone's M file basically looks like. Okay, so when you actually get to coding, you want to first, if you're trying to figure out where you should be, use console logs, because that's really going to help you find out if you're even in the right file or where in that file you're supposed to actually put something. You can use console logs to look at objects and what's actually inside them. If you're using the network tab, do yourself a favor and get some nice plugins. I'm always looking at GraphQL for my job, so I get the GraphQL network interpreter, and that essentially allows me to just play around with the queries directly rather than having a Postman thing open and clicking all the drop down arrows and squinting at the screen all the time. So yeah, just little things like that. If you are going to do a feature or whatever, check that they don't want you to use pre-built components from component libraries that they've made, because 9 times out of 10 you probably are going to have to use something that's already there. So don't just jump into it and think, oh, I'm just going to big brain it and write my own code. See what you can use to begin with and then work from there. You're probably going to have to edit someone's code realistically. Obviously, the trending question is, how much are you going to use an LLM to do your job? Copilot is right there, it's staring at you, and you're thinking, man, I'm kind of stuck right now. With LLMs, I would say use them for explanation and use them for writing painstakingly boilerplate code. But even with boilerplate code, I do think for juniors, it's good to have the reps in of writing things out and getting that memory of the syntax. Not that you're supposed to know every single bit of syntax, but I do think there is a benefit to writing code even if it is repetitive. But obviously it's case by case. If you're constantly writing queries that aren't very specific and you're not giving it the data that you have, or you're not giving it the right variable names or whatever, it's going to spit out these 50 line changes that you're going to spend more time editing and proofreading than you are if you just did it yourself. So I think most of the time the best changes are small ones. The best fixes are usually small fixes. So just be very wary when using LLMs. Don't overdo it. Yeah, so when the time comes that you're done with your code and you think it's good to go, what I do is I make a PR and then I wait for the comments to come in. I check with design and make sure that it looks good if it's a front end ticket. And if the PR comments are all good, it's good to go, then I write the tests. Because if you write the tests and you generate the snapshots without it getting peer reviewed yet, it means that any change they recommend, you're going to have to write those tests again, and it's just going to take very long and it's going to be very annoying. So yeah, I make the PR. If it's all good, I write the tests, make the snapshots, And then if that's all good and all the tests are passing, the Sonar Gate's all good. Like my company uses the GitHub Quality Gate stuff, so can't have more than 3% duplicate code. 80% of the code has to have test coverage. Yeah, the code quality has to be grade A for it to go through. So once that's all good, then I'll actually merge. Also, make sure to keep a note of anything you learn from each ticket and any of the useful commands or how to set up this repo, because if you ever get a situation where you have to onboard another junior, or you need to help someone get set up on a repo, you would have already had everything jotted down in your notes of how to do that. Obviously, don't write like sensitive information in your notepad or whatever, but most devs are terrified of documentation. They don't want to write it. They can't be bothered. So a lot of readmes out there are really bad, and the senior dev, basically his brain is the documentation. So if you're that guy that actually updates the readme and stuff, like, you are going to get extra credit for that. I think the only other thing that's very underrated is just improving your soft skills as a dev. It's a huge benefit if you're a developer that can clearly communicate with non-technical people, because it is quite rare and it can really line you up for some, management jobs if you want to keep going up, or if you want to make a lateral move to something else that's like kind of devy, but you need to do a bit more talking. Like it would really set you up well if you make a effort to communicate and improve on that. I think there's a lot of emphasis online of just like getting cracked and getting good at coding, but it's not all leak code. A lot of it is just, half the battle is just figuring out what you actually have to do. So, but yeah, if you think this is helpful, then like, comment, all that good stuff, subscribe, and share your thoughts. Thanks for watching.